and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan, and the 100 Experts series is back. Yes, you guys have been asking for this series to return. We did take a little break last game week because I do collect the responses on Twitter, and obviously I'm not really using Twitter at the moment, but this series is just too important to me to completely ditch, so we are going to be back on this series. So guys, if you are loving this series still, make sure you drop a like to let me know that you do like these videos, and do subscribe if you haven't done already too. Let's meet our experts and we'll see what they're up to. So thank you to the 100 FPL experts, pundits and content creators that helped us out by giving us their data, telling us their transfer moves, their captaincy decisions, their chip usage, so we can try and figure out what the trends are among top FPL managers. I think this is going to be a very good week. We've got some trends that I want to share with you guys. Let's get started. So, of our 100 experts, 55% are making one transfer this week. 10% are making two transfers. So, we got some transfers going. There's a lot of people making transfers this week. It is a week to be making transfers, at least a little bit anyway. We've got one person using the wild card, and we've actually also got one person using their free hit chip this week. We know it's an interesting game week with Newcastle playing against Arsenal. That's a pretty tough one, and I'm sure a lot of people want to get back involved in the Man City players against Bournemouth and the Liverpool players against Luton Town. And if that's not possible using transfers or wildcards, then hey, maybe a free hit is going to be an option for a very, very select few of you. Judging by the data, just 1% of you. But still, we have also got 33% of our managers not making a transfer this week at all. So there are some people not making a transfer. So don't feel pressured if you don't feel like you need to make a transfer. If you like your team right now, or you just want to roll it through to next game week, there's still a lot of experts not making a transfer at all this week. But the majority are doing something this week, and that is what we're going to be exploring in today's video. So before we go any further, I'd like to have a look at the popular transfer trends from around the FPL world. So these are the most popular transfers in the world. This data has been taken from the FPL website, the official website, and we can see that Eddie Nketiah is our #1 transfer in the world of FPL. Loads of people bringing in Nketiah right now, and Mbeumo is kind of following closely behind, along with Douglas Luiz. So we've got a big three here. A lot of people bringing in, fancy these players for Gameweek 11, Nketiah, Mbeumo, and Douglas Luiz. A few more players that are showing some interest like Son and Anderson as well, and then some other players that are reasonably popular as well in the overall player base. But what I'm interested in is, do these trends, do these overall, I guess, casual, more overall player base kind of transfer trends, do they match up with what our experts are thinking this week? And I can tell you, not that much. So we have got Mbeumo with a decent amount of transfers in among our experts, as well as Hechan, Tsimikas, and Darwin. But outside of that, we're not really seeing much interest at all in these other players. So particularly, we're seeing a lot of players at the top, Nketiah, Douglas Luiz, Son, and Anderson. You would expect a lot of people to be going for those players among the experts as well, because the overall player base likes them. But we have a bit of a mismatch this week, which I love. I love it when there's a mismatch, because it means that our experts are seeing things in certain players and maybe not seeing things in other certain players, and it's a good opportunity to get ahead of the overall player base, the overall rankings, get yourself up the leaderboards a little bit, kind of against the more casual managers, I guess. So yeah, we can go a step further here and show you the players on this list that none of our experts are going for. And that is Son, Watkins, Maddison, Salah, and Diaby. So 0 transfers in for any of these. In fact, Watkins and Maddison even have a transfer out each. Definitely, we can see Nketiah and Douglas Luiz. I know a lot of you guys are talking about bringing these players in this week. 1 transfer in for each of those players among our 100 experts this week. One person going for Nketiah was really just looking to go for a Morris replacement. They really wanted to get rid of Morris quite desperately and have gone for Nketiah as their replacement. Nketiah expected to play the next 3 game weeks, so maybe you're going to get something from him in the short term. And then we've got Douglas Luiz, just one person going for him as well. So very, very minimal interest among top managers, whereby the overall player base are far more interested in these players. But let's move on and see who the experts are actually interested in, starting off with who they are selling. So, a little bit of a surprise here. Don't think I really fully expected to see Udogie as by far the most popular transfer out among our experts. In fact, 24 out of the 65 transfer-making managers is quite significant. That is over a third. You know, we're closing in on half, really, of top FPL managers getting rid of Udogie. So, they want to remove him. Maybe there are some fitness concerns around whether he's going to be available for Chelsea or not. I think he probably will be, but I do think Udogie probably is not a long-term pick anyway. So, he's a player player you'd probably be willing to sacrifice if there were other defenders you were looking for in your team. The next two are also defenders. So Burn and Botman, the Newcastle duo. Burn because he's playing against Arsenal. This is a tough fixture. And Botman because we have got the news this week that Botman might be injured for a little while longer than initially expected. So it would be a good idea to remove Botman. And if you want to remove Burn as well, that's absolutely fine. But it does seem like defenders are the players being transferred out the most this game week. But there are a few other players. Neto is obviously injured, so a few Neto owners are removing him. James Ward-Prowse is now playing as more of a defensive midfielder, so you can understand why owners are going to be disappointed and want to move him on to someone playing a little bit further up the pitch. We like more attacking players in FPL. And of course, Luis Diaz, with all of the tragedy going around in his life right now, I would not be surprised to see him miss games until the situation with his parents is resolved. Obviously, commiserations to Luis Diaz. Horrible, horrible situation. Obviously, from some horrible, horrible people. So, yeah, let's move on. For transfers in, it's Tsimikas. Yes, Tsimikas is the most popular transfer in. I told you it was a defender-based episode, didn't I? Yeah, so not totally surprised by this one. We've got Luton Town up next. That's a really, really nice fixture for Liverpool. And Liverpool really have improved defensively. And I do think that if you can go in on the Liverpool defence in a nice, cheap way, which we can with Tsimikas at 4.6 million, then why not? Why would you not do that? It's a very, very nice little pick there. You're going to get occasional attacking returns as well with Tsimikas on some of those set pieces as well. So it's a really interesting pick. It's a nice bargain player and a bit of a template busting player as well. He is going to become more and more popular among experts as the weeks goes on. The last couple of weeks, he has been a player transferred in by a lot of top FPL managers, so definitely a player that we would all be happy to recommend. But Mark Gahey is an alternative to that. So if you've already got Tsimikas, you want to bring in a different defender, hey, maybe a Crystal Palace defender might not be so bad. They've got some really nice fixtures coming up, and we know Crystal Palace are capable of keeping a clean sheet. So 12 transfers in for him, not a bad player to go for. On to a couple of midfielders here. Hechan and Adingra seem to be the guys people are going for in terms of those cheap midfielders, those bargain midfielders. Dawson is an interesting one. Didn't really expect to see him there, but Ballon Dawson, you never know when he's going to score a nice header, and we do like the look of the fixtures there as well for him. And going on a little bit further, and Mbumo, a few transfers in for him. Darwin, high upside transfer against Luton Town next. Harry Maguire, yes, he is finally becoming a bit more of a trendy football player, at least among us FPL managers, with some nice fixtures for Manchester United and a nice cheap price as well. And 3 transfers in for Cole Palmer, who although doesn't have the best fixtures, he is showing some really nice form right now. And if you're a kind of FPL manager that prefers form over fixtures with those attacking players, then there's nothing wrong with going for him as well. So we're going to make some suggested transfers based on that data, and straight away let's talk about the defenders. So if you've got a doggy in your team and you want to remove him, Tsimikas and Gahey are going to be the ideal replacements for you. So if you've got a doggy, you want to make a move, you want to improve your team, you want to give yourself a better chance of FPL points this game week and beyond, then maybe one of these two guys is going to be your ideal replacement. But we've got to talk about Burn and Botman as well. If you want to remove a Newcastle defender this week, absolutely fine. You've got Tsimikas and Gahey once again waiting to go. So it really is going to be about picking the defender you don't like in your team right now and maybe moving them to Tsimikas or Gahey. Those are going to be some really nice strong moves to take your team forward. And midfielders, I think that's the other big position where people are making transfers this week. Well, of course, Neto with his injury is going to have to be replaced. And it seems like Hechan and Adingra are the 2 most popular replacements. If you don't have any money in the bank and you just need to go for a cheap guy, then definitely Hechan and Adingra would be the players to go for. Small concerns about whether Hechan can still continue to perform without Neto in the team. But the fixture next against Sheffield United is just too good to ignore. And you do fancy any team to go there and score a couple of goals. And Hechan seems to be the main man at the moment in terms of scoring goals for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And Adingra, hey, we got to talk about him as well. Probably going to be reasonably nailed on in this Brighton team when they have a fairly good run of fixtures now for quite some time. So if you want to go for a super cheap way of entering into that Brighton midfield, then maybe Adingra is going to be a nice alternative to Kaoru Mitoma. And we've got James Ward-Prowse, another player to be removed. If you're removing Ward-Prowse, maybe you can't afford to go for Mbumo, so you go for a Hechan or Adingra Adingra. But I would say in general, if you can afford to move a Neto or a Ward-Prowse to an Mbumo, then I would definitely think about doing it. Again, the fixtures aren't amazing in the next couple of games, but they do start to get really good eventually. West Ham next, I think, is a good fixture, and I think Mbumo, with the form that he's showing, the penalties that he has, he's still going to score you some FPL points, so absolutely no problem with going for him as well. So Hee-Chan, Adingra and Mbumo seem to be our experts midfield replacement players to go for right now. And finally, we do need to talk about captaincy. Who are our experts captaining for game week 11? Is it going to be Salah again? Is it going to be Haaland after his big score against Manchester United? Are there going to be any differentials? Well, let me show you. Well, the robot, the Norwegian man himself, he is back on top among our experts. This home game against Bournemouth is just too tempting to resist, with 83% of our experts going for him in this huge fixture. Bournemouth, super weak defense. Haaland back on form, back looking fantastic, and you have the feeling that he is going to destroy this team. You would not be surprised to see a hat-trick in this game from the Norwegian GOAT. You really wouldn't. And I think even the fact that Salah is on 16%, that's probably about matching how many people don't own Salah, don't own Haaland, sorry, and only own Salah. So probably around 10% of our experts at the moment don't have Haaland in their team at all, and they will be going for Salah captaincy. So when you kind of factor it in like that, I feel like if you have both of these players, Haaland is probably the obvious, probably the safe answer for you. But with 16%, if you don't have Haaland in your team and you can't find a way of getting him back into your team, and by the way, 2 of our experts are taking hits to get Haaland back in their team, so that is definitely still an option for you. But if you don't want to do that, then Salah against Luton, hey, it's not such a bad fixture, really, is it? And Salah is just like the guy who just, everything just goes his way in football at the moment, in FPL. It's really just working out for him. So definitely going to be a good shout, particularly against some of those weaker teams like Luton. But we have got one person, a 1%er, a differential king, going for Son against Chelsea. And I'm not totally surprised. Son is obviously showing some great form. Chelsea were conceding a couple of goals last week, weren't they, against Brentford? So they still have those fragilities, and Son and Spurs are in just such good form at the moment. I don't think you can ignore Son in even the difficult fixtures, really. So 1% going for him, but it really is all about Haaland this game week, with just a little bit of Salah sprinkled in there, and yeah, just one person going for Son. It's not a trend though, so we cannot recommend it in this video. Just wanted to show you on screen for this week. So those of you guys asking, who should I captain this week? Well, if you have Haaland, there is your answer according to our experts. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure you do drop a like. It would be massively appreciated. And let me know that you do like this series. And, you know, it's worth me delving back onto Twitter once a week to try and get this content out. Because it's the only way I can do it right now. I'm trying to figure out a different way of making these videos. But I need to still figure it out, a couple of moving parts still, to see how I'm going to do it. But, yeah, just would be appreciated with some likes on that one. Of course, subscribe if you're new around here. Check out Fantasy Football Hub if you want your free trial. There is a link in the description. And we've got loads more FPL content. Make sure you do check it out. There's a link to another video there if you want to go and watch that one. But aside from that one, thank you so much for watching once again. Team selection coming tomorrow, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.